1, 2, 3, go.
Jennifer Hardy Har.
Believe it or not,
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana Show.
the Lawyer Dana podcast.
Wow, we have a lot to talk about.
And we're going to do it right after this.
Welcome to the Lawyer Dana podcast.
Cheating is very rarely the reason people actually file divorce.
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with finances.
It's money.
It's money.
You buy her a car. Y'all mind you had y'all kicked it, okay, but you bought her a car. That is something. It's very rarely just that you cheated, and not that cheating is bad.
It's one of the easiest ones to forgive. You know my top 5 things that lead to a hard divorce? So number 5 is infidelity. Number 4 is finances.
Yes.
Number 3 is drug abuse. Number 2 is mental illness. Number 1 is alcoholism. But the top 3 are damn near the same one.
You're right.
Yeah.
Drug abuse is number 3. It's all chaos and all
Yes.
mental illness. But drug abuse is number 3 because
Right.
at least it has to be hidden.
Yeah.
And so we have more leverage with that, and we usually will get a settlement, right? And there's more shame with that. Mental illness, completely, totally unpredictable, nonsense. You can't reason with it. It's just crazy, right?
Absolutely.
So you have to do everything the hard way. And then alcoholism, they're in denial. It's Jekyll and Hyde. And most of the time, we do a thing called a marriage viability assessment, which determines whether they have a viable marriage or not. And it's basically 3 questions, but here's how that assessment usually goes. They want the marriage to work. Was question number 1. Do you want your marriage to work? Question number 2 is, are you willing to do whatever it takes to make your marriage work? Because if you are, then you have a potentially viable marriage. If you're not, you don't have a viable marriage. If you're not willing to do whatever it takes, it's never going to work. You're done. Next, move on. But then third is, are you able to make your marriage work? And ability has 2 parts. Right. Knowledge, do you know what it will take? And capability, are you capable of doing what you know that it will take? And here's what it usually boils down to. They know what it will take, and they're willing to do it. They're just not able to do it. Because what it will take is, I have to tolerate living with the alcoholic, and I can't, or they have to quit drinking, and they can't.
Right.
And so we're past the point, we know those answers, we have to get a divorce. And it's one of the most sad ones ever, because they usually love the person. It's just the alcoholic is going to kill them.
Right.
I mean, in a car wreck or financially, or it's just going to destroy both of them. Yeah, and they're running that car off the cliff, and you don't want to be sitting in it. The Titanic is heading towards the iceberg, and you either have to change the Titanic path, or you have to get off of that ship.
So I have a question. And when you were representing like someone in a criminal case, did you ever have like somebody that you were representing and you knew they were guilty? And how did that impact you? Like what?
I'm going to guarantee you that's a yes.
I mean, like what? How do you, like I've always wondered, like how does an attorney continue to represent somebody they know in their heart is guilty of a crime?
Because we live in a country with a constitution,
Yep.
and the people have rights.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about the process.
Yep.
At that point, is that you got justice, that you got a just outcome for in that situation.
That's right.
That's what you're seeking. The prosecutor, the prosecution in any case, they're supposed to be seeking the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
And justice. It's not a conviction.
Yep.
It's the truth.
Yep.
Right.
And so as a defense attorney, what I want, or what I think any defense attorney wants, is to make sure that there is that you have justice for the situation.
The process has to be correct. And if it's not, the penalty for the state not doing it correctly is a guilty person goes free. And because if you don't do it correctly for the guilty person, you also wouldn't do it correctly and won't do it correctly, and you'll have a systematic problem for the innocent person.
Right.
And it is usually worse.
And I understand that, but
for an innocent person to be convicted than it is for a guilty person to get off. Because think about it. Think about and if you don't think that, if you don't believe that, then you need to turn yourself in for every single crime you've ever committed in your life. Are you willing to do that? So you've gotten away with some things. This person who happened to have gotten caught this time, they get away with it this time. And so a lot of people, if they're in it, they're not going to do that again. And some people that we know are bad, eventually they're going to have problems, and we couldn't end and correct their behavior this time. And it's a shame that another crime might happen, but that crime versus convicting an innocent person, that crime is it's worse to convict the innocent person than to allow that crime to happen. That's also why it's important that people are that you have good laws in place, and that you also do things that protect your own personal security, because there are bad people out there, and bad people are going to do bad things, and so we can't rely purely on any government or any system of courts or police or prosecutors for our own personal complete safety. I mean, we have to be situationally aware. We have to, don't be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Don't associate with the wrong people at any time, really. If you got somebody that's pulling you into crime or a bad influence or messing with your mindset, if you're not doing positive mindset type of things, make a change so that you don't get sucked into any of that bad stuff. But that's the general thing, because and the one thing people are like, I know my rights, I have my rights. The only thing that you actually, there's only one human being on earth that is actually protecting your rights, and that is a defense attorney. That's the only person that's on your side. Now, hopefully the judge follows the law, and the judges will also protect your rights and things like that. But you only get one person that's on your side. And what the system is they're fighting you, and they have the massive power of the government. And you get one person. You get Audrey. And her job is to fight for you, because it's David versus Goliath, and it is one versus the absolute many unbelievable power of the state. And if they're not good enough to beat this person, no matter how hard they're trying within the ethical lines, then this person should not be convicted this time.
Right. The state likes to say they represent the people, but defense attorneys represent the people
That's
only,
right.
but one at a time.
One at a time.
Just one at a time.
Yeah.
That's a great question, and I'm glad that you asked
just-
that, because
People ask that all the time.
People do ask that all the
How
time.
can you represent people that did such and
if
such?
no one represented those people, you couldn't convict them.
And that's not what I was saying. I can totally understand representing somebody, and there are people convicted of things that you truly believe they're innocent and they need to be. But I'm just saying, if you have someone, and as time goes on and you're talking to them and you're hearing them and you're putting two and two together and you're going,
Or if they
this
tell you,
isn't
yeah, I did it.
making- Yeah.
You're their lawyer. They can tell you,
Right.
and you have to still defend them.
Most people do. Most people do share that they know that they did something. They know they did
Well,
something. What they're looking for is justice and fairness. Not everybody is looking to escape
Well, for me,
punishment.
I
per
only
se.
did pretty low-level crimes, like marijuana possession, DWIs,
yeah.
and
I'm just saying,
some theft from Walmart.
I guess that's why I was never meant to be a criminal attorney. But my thing is, if someone came to me and said, "Yeah, I did murder that child," I'd be like, peace out.
Well, not every lawyer.
A lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't take every kind of case. Some people
Yeah.
can't do sex assaults. They can't do.
Yeah.
They can't do
I didn't do
CPS
sex assaults
cases.
or-
They can't
Yeah.
do child welfare cases, child abuse cases. There are some people who can't, who are
Right.
not built for that. But there are the people who are not built to do family law either.
Yeah.
They just cannot tolerate
Oh yeah.
Right.
that type of dynamic. But people do have to set those
Yeah.
personal boundaries
Yeah.
about what kind of person they can.
That I thought was wrongfully accused, and I had to win that case. It was as if I was accused, and I had to win the case.
Or
and
if
it
they
was
had
just
the reason to
nervous.
kill, like one of my favorite movies, and I know this is just a movie, but A Time to Kill. Come on, he needed to be defended. His daughter was tortured. All those things happened to her, and then I don't blame him for killing the people that assaulted her. I don't blame him. So it's that's kind of a tricky situation.
Do you see jury nullification on a lot of things?
Very rarely.
Really?
Very rarely. Not around here.
Interesting. You know what jury nullification? So
I don't know what.
here's our word of the day. All right, jury nullification is where a jury basically says, I think that they should be able to do that crime, so I'm not going to convict them, even though they're definitely guilty of it. Even if they believe beyond a reasonable doubt that they did it, they just refuse to convict them of whatever it is.
Yeah, it happens, but it's really rare because of the way we do voir dire around here, I'm from Tyler, so it's voir dire for me. It's better to just say jury selection, so
how I
nobody
say
judges
it.
you. Just do jury selection. But, we ask, can you follow the law? That's what you can't.
Yeah.
And most people are going to say that they can follow the law. The very, very few people are going to say, I really can't follow the law. I know the law says that I have to, but most people will say I can follow it. I will listen to all the facts and the evidence and apply the law to those facts and evidence and render a just and true verdict. Most people will say they're able to do that, even though when they get in that jury room,
That doesn't seem to be what the discussion is a lot of
that's
times.
really what happened.
Yeah.
But juries, for the most part, get it right. I mean, judges, and after many surveys and lots of, demographic and statistical evidence, most judges feel like when they get a verdict, 98% of the time they feel like the
Really
jury's got it
interesting.
right.
Yeah.
That is very interesting. That's actually fairly reassuring then.
Yeah, better be judged by 6 and hated by 1.
Yeah.
You just let the jury, just more minds.
Yes.
More minds get to a better
So
conclusion.
interesting that you mentioned 6. So in Texas, there's 6-person juries and there's 12-person juries. And for criminal, the 12-person juries are in the felony district courts.
Correct.
And you're in a county court at law, and so you're doing the misdemeanors.
Right.
What are what is it, still DWI, even with the recent law changes? Are you seeing more DWIs plea out, or what do you see tried? What do you have, what's the most trials and things that you see
More
in your court?
DWIs go to trial in a misdemeanor court
I
than
figured that.
anything else. Your assault, family violence cases may go to trial. It's rarely, but assaults may go to trial, but mostly DWIs.
Do you see a reduction in that since Uber is kind of coming in the forefront? Do you see more people Ubering and not driving drunk, or no difference really?
I'm not sure that I see a difference in the arrests for DWI per se, because people who are going to do, because you have a certain level. You have people who it's just a one-time thing. It happened. You know, they weren't thinking. It was just overshot it a little bit.
Those were the type of clients that I would take.
There's whole people.
Yeah.
And
The ones that are never even going to come close to it ever
chronic.
again.
You'll never see them again.
Yeah.
You have those people, and they still have the same stigma of a DWI arrest. Don't get me wrong. They still have the same stigma, but they're not. It's not a problem. Then you have the people who are DWI seconds, thirds, fourths, and fifths. They're not going to take Uber anyway. They're not going to utilize that. So these are the people. So it's sure those are the ones that end up a lot of times going.
One client in particular, I'm not going to name any names, but man, such a hardcore alcohol problem, just no matter what I tried to do. And I went well above and beyond, like things that a lawyer wouldn't even necessarily do, trying to get him to not drink, and just no matter what you did, couldn't.
Nope, can't.
Just can't.
Can't, because
It's impossible for
you
him.
You have to you have to come to believe that your life is unmanageable, and that you have to make a change in how you're going to live it. I have a DWI court, so I have a DWI quote unquote diversion court, and so
tell me about that, because that came into being after I stopped doing criminal defense, and I know a little bit about it, but that could be something that's really interesting, especially for local people around watching.
First of all, driving while intoxicated diversion courts are statutory in counties with a certain population. Mm-hmm. So they're statutory for Dallas to have, for Dallas County, Harris County, big counties. You have to have a DWI court. I think Harris County may have 4 or 5, and we're about just as big, but we only have 2. We have a felony DWI court where it's Judge Tracy Holmes, and she's had that court well over 10 or 12 years.
Wow.
And the DWI court that I have in the misdemeanor court has been in existence as long. And I took it over from Judge Dan Patterson, who is leaving the bench this year. And what happens is if you have more than one DWI, and you're in the misdemeanor court. So you can have 2 DWI first. You got a DWI in 2020. They haven't resolved that case, and you have one in 2021. That case not resolved. You may be eligible to participate in the DWI court, and it's very intensive. It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of therapy. In AA meetings or something similar. We didn't force you to do AA, any kind of religious base. We didn't make you do, but something, you still have to do something similar with a similar structure. And a lot of supervision. You have to have an interlock on your vehicle.
That's where you got to blow into your car.
Other monitoring apparatus, random UAs. I mean, it's very intense. And then we have DWI court twice a month, where they all have to come in and sit there with me.
Sounds similar to Veterans Court, too.
They're all very similar in their structure and what they're trying to do. But and these are people who, because if you have one DWI, right?
You're much
you
more
learn from
likely
your
to get a
mistake.
second one.
But if you have 2,
you're
that
higher
means
risk.
that you knew what that situation and what that was like, and you weren't able to make a choice that would keep you from being put in that same situation. So either you have a problem with addiction to some type of substance, or you have a decision-making model that is basically the same as somebody who is truly addicted. It's still the same. You still have to kind of work through the same issues. Is why am I making decisions that are not in my best interest? I already went through this one time, and now I'm back again. So
or a third. A third is a felony.
state jail felony.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I've known someone that's had, like, I think it's 6.
6? I'm surprised they got out of jail at that point.
He contributes it a lot to God at that point, because he wasn't a believer, and then that brought him to be a believer, because so many things lined up in his life that, like, people came out of the woodwork to help him. He gave up drinking. He's still sober to this day.
Good.
But he worked for me, and I remember,
Just for the record, I didn't quit drinking because of the alcohol. It was a health reason. I can't drink. I can't eat sugar. And so I had to massively change my diet, and just eliminating the alcohol was part of that, because I had a back issue, and it's inflammation actually from food that I was eating, and it caused a disc in my back to get inflamed, and I couldn't walk, and so it laid me out, and so it was all diet based. So
well, it's funny when you said that, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your lifestyle change, because I'm say this, amongst lawyers are the highest of all the professions
for drugs and
at
alcohol.
risk for drugs and alcohol.
We've got Brian. You know who Brian Cuban is?
Oh yes,
Yeah,
I know
Brian's
Brian
going to be
Cuban.
he's going to be on the podcast. When a couple of weeks or something? A month or so? But yeah, he's coming
Tune
in to talk
in for
about that
Brian
too.
Cuban. He is fantastic. His story is fantastic.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Have you read his
person.
books? I
He's
might
got
even have one on my desk.
he's got the ambulance chaser that just came out.
I read
It's
that.
So
Yeah.
fantastic.
Excellent. Yeah.
It's an excellent
Really
book.
good.
But I wanted to say about that, about our lifestyle, about the stress of the attorney, and how we create an environment that's conducive to substance abuse. Because and I've had my own issues. I'm not ashamed to say it. It is what it is. I'm a human being. Everybody, I don't know what they think, but like, I'm a real person. I have bad days. I have good days. Some days, this morning I had a little gas. I'm better now. I hope it's okay. But what happens is, and you don't really know it's happening, because it definitely happens to me, and I've been talking about this. And I work very closely with the Texas Lawyers Assistance Program. It's the executive director, Erica Griggs, now trying to bring this message also to judges, because judges are lawyers too.
Oh, yeah.
But there is a shame and a stigma to discussing anything related that looks like it's substance abuse or dependency on a substance.
Even though you could drink in front of each other and it'd be right there.
No, because you do. This is my thing.
Yeah.
You cannot go a day in our legal profession. I literally can go on my calendar, and every single solitary day, there is an event, a reception, a function that includes alcohol.
For free, too,
every
most of it.
single day. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a rare day
Yeah.
that there's not
You could
some
absolutely chase that
function
around town and drink for free all over the place.
all over the place. I mean, and it's not just chasing it. It's just that you're going to meetings you would normally go to.
Yeah.
You're going to a continuous learning
Yeah.
event, and
Yeah.
you have to go there. You're going to your state bar annual meeting. You're going to your practice area, and it's nothing but alcohol constantly all day. You might get one of Friends of Bill W. meeting. I used to make fun of state bar. I was like, you put the Alcoholics Anonymous meetings like at 6 a.m. and then you drink all day long. I mean, the whole rest of the day, everything has alcohol, even practically from lunch until
That's why
2 a.m.
alcoholism is number one on my list, because it's constant and it's socially acceptable. It's encouraged.
And it's not against the law to drink and
Right.
drive. Let me just say, people think it's against the law
not.
to drink. It's not. It's against the law to drink and drive while intoxicated. But when you drink the way a lot of lawyers do, you not cognizant, one, of how much you drink
Yeah.
and how often you drink. If you had one drink a day, just one glass of wine when you get home, put the kids in bed.
Yeah.
Even if that's the case, you're building
You're
up
a-
a tolerance.
You're an
absolutely.
alcohol.
Yeah, it's a whole
alcoholic.
concept.
Well, I
You
used
don't
to.
even really realize you're
I had a
doing
breathalyzer, not an interlock, a portable, in each one of my cars, because you can get them at Best Buy. They're $100,
Right.
and they're pretty accurate. And I tested with that thing so much that I knew exactly where I could tell you, here's what I'm getting ready to blow. Because every single time. And Summer and I, we had a rule. I drive. If she's had anything to drink, she doesn't drive at all. And if we've had anything to drink, I will drive as long as I am half the legal limit or less. And if we were over it, we would just take an Uber.
Well, I discovered that my metabolism had changed. I'm hypoglycemic, and I have been that way for a number of years. But as I've aged, and my weight has fluctuated, I lost a lot of weight, and what I eat affects. I can have salad dressing and bread, and it'll look like my speech is slurred. I may have a syndrome, like dumping syndrome, so where your blood sugar drops real fast and you get woozy. And
I don't eat any kind of bread.
I can't.
So my diet is meat, fish, fruit, vegetables, and nuts. And all I drink is water. That's it.
Yeah, I can rarely have any type of dessert. Now, and my friends and my support system and people they watch closely. Like, okay, she can't have that, or she did that. What did you drink? What did you eat? What did you do? Because I will have a
Added
actual
sugar
visible
and flour
medical
are big
reaction
time.
to
Yeah.
it, but I wasn't aware of it.
Do you
And
have celiac disease?
No.
Gluten intolerance?
No, I may have. They've been testing on gluten,
But there's other disease.
Yeah, there's
there's-
others besides celiac.
With the whole hypoglycemic
It's- yeah, the
situation,
yeah.
and with your metabolism as you age, I'm
Yeah.
a little older than people probably think, and
Like
as
30,
I
32?
age, you are so perceptive. You really should be a judge, because you nailed that right
I
on
thought so.
the head. 30, plus 20 plus years. I'm closer to 60 than I am to.
No, you're
to
not.
50.
Are you
Yes,
really?
I am.
But
Yes.
you really
I
don't
am-
look.
I
you
am
look
55 whole years old.
Well,
You
Audrey,
do
you're
not
gonna
look
live about
bad.
you're gonna live to be about 150 because
Yeah,
no,
you
you
got a
look
lot of vitality and time
fantastic.
left.
Well,
Yeah.
I appreciate you saying
Make-
that, but I respectfully
Make good
decline.
financial plans.
Make- yeah,
Keep investing because you're gonna live a long time.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm trying to hedge my bets on that. But my point was that I even have reaction to alcohol now that I didn't know that. I would you drink you just like normal. It's your lifestyle. But as your body changes and your metabolism or healthcare issues, you have to rethink
For
your
me,
entire
it was the
diet.
sugar. And
Yep.
I'll also tell you this: it's a lot easier and I find myself a lot more focused because I never have that instance where it's broken up with alcohol or because I was using alcohol. Oh, it's my time off. In fact, I have a video that I've wanted to take down, but it's called. I think it's on this channel. It's called "What Friday Should Be," and I'm afraid to even watch it because I think I fundamentally disagree with it now because I've matured beyond that. Now that I've stopped drinking entirely, I have no desire to drink.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, because you knew about me and wine, and I was like I was number 20 in the country on wine on the Vivino wine rating app, and I was high enough to go into any vineyard in the world and answer, yes, I'm a wine professional. Oh, Mr. Palmer, come on in. We're gonna taste you on the good stuff, everything, right? And I still love hearing about that because I read We may have one, but a book called Freedom Flight by Lanny Basham. He was our guest actually last week. He's an Olympic gold medalist, and it talks about visualization techniques. And I've been shooting skeet and went to his class on how to shoot skeet. I'm actually going to try and compete for the 2028 Olympics in skeet. And next year I'm going to be competing for the World Championship in American skeet, which is in San Antonio. But Lanny, and he talks about the visualization techniques that you use. Mm-hmm. It seems like we're about to have an interesting discussion based on the look on your face about this.
Your competitive spirit knows no boundaries.
It knows no boundaries.
It does not.
It does. It does not. And I thought it was, I'm 48. I thought at my age, I'm about, I don't know, half my life past going to the Olympics and anything. And then I realized, wait, in shooting? Hold on. I've liked shooting since I was 7. Like, that's one of my things I really, really like best in the world. If you go, hey, you can go shooting or you can play music, I'm like, I don't know. I might pick shooting. I think I have picked shooting because I haven't been playing a lot of music. I've been doing a lot of shooting. But in this book, Freedom Flight, he talks about this POW who is locked in Vietnam in a cage that's about half the size of this desk. And he lived there for 7 years. And he goes, I wasn't really in that cage. And I've heard people talk about this as I never really went to prison. He goes, I went to the Olympics twice. I went to, I've visited every country. I went to Paris. Mm-hmm. And so what they would do is, I'm flying to Paris and I'm going to be in Paris for 14 days. And they just visualize and they completely take themselves out of it. Well, the guy that Lanny was talking to had done that with golf. He gets rescued, lands in the United States, and is on land for less than an hour.
Yeah, he's in
They
an
drive
ambulance.
past a golf course. He says, let me out, let me out, let me out. So they let him out. He runs in there, goes to the guy at the front and goes, I've been a POW for 7 years. All I want to do is play golf. And he's like, well, how do I play golf here? Well, you have to be a member or you can play with a member. He goes, where's the members? And he goes, well, the clubhouse, this bar's right there. Goes in the bar. I just was released from Vietnam after 7 years POW. All I want to do is play golf. Who wants to play with me? And they just cheer. They set him up with clothes. They buy him a whole new set of clothes and take him out. Plays the best golf he's ever played in his life. Just amazingly good. Why? Because he had been visualizing, and he never visualized himself missing. But he went through all the actual steps as if he was actually there. Everything that you think of. That mindset and mind game. And now I forgot where my tie-in was or how I was going to... Oh, no. So then I did that. I was like... And I read that book after a week of me knowing, okay, this is diet. What do I eat? Can I do this? And I was like, I wonder if I can do that with food. And I happened to be flying to Disney World, where there is nothing but like food and all this. And we actually went to Universal Studios, and there's this one giant chocolate factory. They call it the Chocolate Emporium, but it's not Willy Wonka. It's an off-brand. It's like Soothsayer, whatever. But, man, they did it better than Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. That place is freaking amazing. Unbelievable. They have everything. And I'm walking through and visualizing me eating this. I'm like, okay, look at all these macaroons. And what's the flavor? And it's, here's the blueberry one. And I just visualize as if I was eating it. And I realized this is just as good as eating it. And then shortly thereafter, I was like, no, it's not. It's better. Because I can eat everything. I can stand here and eat everything, and and it never goes on my body, and I never have any of the bad. All I do is have the good, not the bad. So I can literally visualize and experience it because I know what everything in the world tastes like. I've had the greatest wines in the world, so I still like going to wine tastings and listening to them describe it, and I can smell it as soon as they open it. Sometimes I'll smell it, but usually I won't even do that. I just want to hear the descriptions, and then I just visualize that amazing wine, and I'm completely good and satisfied with that, and happier because the alcohol's not affecting me, and more importantly, the sugar's not affecting me, because alcohol turns into sugar in the bloodstream.
Yep.
And I have done that for... Yep. I'm completely happy, and thank God, the food that I can eat is all food that I really love. So I'm actually completely satisfied. But I don't eat any bread, no processed foods, no fried foods. I do eat potatoes, but not French fries. No ketchup. I don't eat any of that stuff.
You can make your own French fries at home. I do it all the time. You put it in the oven.
Do you bake them?
Mm-hmm. I cut the potatoes. I put a little cayenne pepper, salt and pepper.
I don't eat barbecue sauce on my barbecue anymore. But salt and pepper is what I use. And you would be surprised. Your entire taste buds and your whole metabolism and taste buds completely change. Fruit, I have realized, is the best candy in the world. All candy is trying to simulate fruit unless it's got chocolate in it. Right? It's all trying to simulate fruit, and it's only doing that for shelf life. Some of the I'm addicted, I think, to dragon fruit. Dragon fruit is amazing. It's the most delicious thing that there is, and there's all these different kinds of dragon fruit. The red ones are okay. And did you know if you eat 2 dragon fruit, you pee this beautiful color of pink? I'm talking like you're gonna call your wife. I called Summer. I was like, Summer, come look at this. Look how pretty that is.
Oh my goodness.
Try it. Mark my words. Try it. It's ridiculous. By the way, also, if you eat too much dragon fruit, don't make any plans because you're going to lose some weight. And you're going to need some time to yourself in the bathroom. You're going to need a good half hour. You're not going anywhere.
Too much information.
If you ever constipated, dragon fruit. You don't need any medicines. Eat a couple of dragon fruits and you're good, especially the red ones.
I want to just interject a subject change. I just want.
This podcast goes everywhere, Audrey.
I just want to just see
And
how
he has
that.
no filter.
Yeah,
I have some
clearly,
filter.
we
I do. I at least
kind of-
notice.
The Lawyer Dana Podcast.